Alrighty, so today you're gonna learn how to color grade your clips. Alrighty then, so let's see what we got going on here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips that we need to apply some color grading to. So let's hop on over to that color tab. Now, if you're completely new to DaVinci Resolve, there's some cleaning up that we can do. First of all, we don't actually need to have the gallery open, and we probably don't need to have effects open. At least right now, we could close timeline, and we're gonna keep our clips open just for now. So the next thing you're probably asking yourself, what is all of this? What does this do? So offset is your overall video, right? Your gain is those highlights, those bright points to your video. Your gamma is everything in between, and then your lift is all of those dark points. Now, it might not look like I was adjusting anything in particular, and it was applying a color grade to the entire video, but trust me, once we start working, you're gonna see a huge difference. And I suppose we should address the elephant in the room, nodes. How do they work? So let's add a couple more nodes here. And this setup, these nodes work in sequence. So if we do something to this first node, you can see in the thumbnail here that it applies a color grade to all of the other nodes. So let's also adjust the color grade on this one. We're going to try and balance it out here. Oh, look. And on our last one, what we'll do is we'll just do something crazy like make it black. So you can see in the thumbnail how it affects each individual node. We can also turn off these nodes by clicking the lower left-hand corner, and we can see exactly what we've done in this node. The reason why I say this is because a lot of people get confused about nodes. It's not very intuitive until you start thinking about it in layers. This is basically layers, except left to right. So what we could do, you know what? I don't like that. That's throwing me off. So what we could do is just top to bottom. Look at that. All of a sudden, this makes sense to people. But anyways, we're gonna reset this. We're gonna right click, reset all nodes and grades, and we're left with just one node. We are going to start off on a still that we like, which I call the hero shot. This is just going to be the most important frame of your clip. Now, because this is a very dynamic clip, we're gonna have to skim through a little bit, but this shot right here, I think, is one of the most important parts of it. So what we're going to do is label this first node by right clicking and then go to node label. And now you can just type in whatever you want, but we are going to type in contrast. So this first node is going to be all of our highlights, our shadows, and everything in between. We are trying to make the lighting look right. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this, but what I like to do is start with my curves. So if we head over to our windows, and then on the far left-hand side, you'll see this little S-looking thing, and oh my God, there it is. What I like to do is I make 1 point at the top, 1 point at the bottom, and then 1 in the middle. Then what I like to do is bring up this top one just a little bit, like so, and you can see we're subtly adjusting all of those highlights. You can really tell right over here, if you take a look, you can see how much brighter that looks. So I like to bring this up almost to the point where it's overexposed, because this is a video game and the environment is perfect, but we don't want perfect. We want something a little imperfect. Then what I like to do is grab this lower part and bring it down. This is all of my shadows, and because this room is very dark, you're gonna see the biggest adjustment here, but that's okay. And then this middle one, I like to drag to the right usually, and this kind of balances things out, maybe upwards. Just kind of mess around until you get something that you like, but don't go crazy with it right here. Let's move on to the color wheels. So like I said, lift is all of our dark points, so we're gonna adjust it in here now. Really fine tune it. You know what I just realized? I didn't tell you exactly what button I'm clicking here. That bottom scroll wheel right there, that is how you adjust the overall intensity of your color wheel. So you're not pushing color into it, you're adjusting how bright it is or how dark it is. Now what we're gonna do is go into our gain, And once again, we're fine tuning this area. And then our gamma, that's our midpoints. And again, fine tuning it. And I can see we got a little bit of overexposure right here that I don't like. So I'm just going to bring down my highlights right here. And if you ever make an adjustment that you don't like, what you can do is double click. Boom, boom. Now you can see we're back to what we originally had. Or maybe you don't like what you did with your lift or your gamma or your gain. You can click this reset button right here. Now, because we added a bit of a curve here, it kind of bumped up our saturation. So what I like to do is bring my saturation down just a little bit. There we go. This is looking a little bit better. And what we can do is double check what our image looked like before by turning off our node, by clicking the lower left-hand corner. And there you go. You can see we have this nice boost in contrast, a little bit more color too. Yeah. Now, before we move on, what we're going to do is scrub through and make sure that everything looks the way we want it. You can see this is a bit too overexposed for my liking, but more than likely you won't have that problem unless you're adding glow to your videos. But hey, maybe you did add some glow to your videos and you want to fix this. So what we can do, right click, add a node, add serial. Now, grab this eyedropper tool and then just simply click on the area you want to apply. It looks like we didn't do anything, but if we go over to this little wand looking thing, check that. Oh, now you can see what we did here. So because this is overexposed, what I'm going to do is just bring down my highlights and see what this looks like. Like that. There we go. Let's try and select something a little bit better to this color right here so it's not affecting the wall. And now you can see this looks better. The only issue is that we have this weird looking outline right here, so we can fix that. If you go to matte finesse, go to number 2 and then just bring up your denoise. Look at that. There you go. Just a little bit. Look at the before and after. I also think this goes without saying, but if you do apply an effect like this, what you should do is just kind of turn down the brightness on it separately. Now, we could label this node, but I don't think that's necessary. Let's move on. So we're back on that hero shot, that really great image that we like. And what we're going to do is add another node. Right click, add node, add serial. And now what we're going to do is do it again, but instead of checking add serial, we're going to do add parallel. And we're going to do this one more time. So now we have 3 new nodes. And you're probably wondering right now, why are we doing it like this? What is this right here? I need answers. And to that I say, oh, okay. Right here, this is a mixer. If we hover over it, parallel mixer. Basically what this does is it averages everything that we do to these 3 nodes and it mixes it and averages it out. Now, the reason why you're going to use this opposed to using sequential nodes like we did right here is because you're going to get a better color grade out of this. Let's go ahead and label these 3 nodes. What we're going to do is label this first node color grade. This second one, we are going to label glow. And this third one, we are going to label color warp. Now, I think based off of the names of these nodes, it's pretty obvious what we're going to do to them. So let's start with the actual color grade node. Now, earlier what we did was adjust our color wheel down here, and this is that intensity of it. But we can pick a specific color we want by just dragging this little dot in the area we want the color. So let's start off with our offset. Remember, this is our overall video. Now, for whatever reason, Valorant tends to have a lot of warmth to it, and I don't really like that. I like cooler looking colors. Anyways, so grab your little dot and push in a lot of teal, like so. Now what you can do is grab your gamma, this is your midpoints, and push in the opposite direction, and this will kind of balance things out. Let's just check that before and after, before, after, before, after. It's always good to do this because your eyes can become desensitized to the actual image. So take breaks often. The next thing to do is adjust the color of your lift and your gain. It doesn't really matter which one you start with. However, when adjusting your lift, what you want to remember is what color are shadows. Now, typically shadows have a bit of blue to them. However, this does not look black. This looks like a very dark shade of blue. I don't want the color to be blown out to where I can't see what's going on, but there is a lot of blue right here. So what we can do is push in a little bit of red to try and adjust the look of it, like so. Now, obviously, this adjusted a lot more than what I wanted to because this whole area is really dark. So in our gain, what happens is that if we go in the opposite direction, now we're pushing in a little bit of blue, it balances things out. Isn't that crazy? So now we have kind of a more natural looking color grade. You can see there was just a little too much warmth here. Let's also just double check, make sure our grade looks good. Yeah, baby. So I think it's pretty obvious what the next step is. We're gonna adjust glow. Now, what is that? Well, it's an effect. Go to your effects library and just scroll down until you find glow. There it is. Let's move that over. And if for whatever reason your nodes are behind your effects, what you can do is middle mouse button on this grid and move things over. Grab that glow, apply it. Yay! Now, personally, I think that the default settings are pretty good. We can change the color of the glow. Sometimes I like adding a little bit of this red color to it, but scrub through, make sure you like everything. I don't like this. I don't like this area. So what we can do is maybe bring down the highlights just a little bit, or probably better, adjust your glow settings. So let's bring down that gain, maybe our gamma too. We could even adjust the threshold, but just a little something that says, hey, I'm here. I'm glow. Let's see that before. Yeah, I like that. I like that look right here. Let's see the before. Oh, that's so much better. So now it's time for the color warp. What is that? Well, it's a window right here. Come down here, color warper. Yay. What does this do though? Well, similar to what we did with this node right here, where we used an eyedropper to pick a specific color to change that, this color warper will change a specific color. Because there's a lot of red here, what we can do is grab this red and bring it down. Oh, hey, look at that. I hate that look though. That does not look good. And if you wanted to reset it, what you can do is find this little button right here. That's a reset button. There you go. But basically what we're gonna do is just kind of mess around here. You know, experiment, see what you like. Now personally, what I like to do is try and get rid of any greens. You can see I have this eyedropper tool and it's kind of telling me where that green is, or maybe we have the green pop in this case. I don't know. Yeah, anyways, we're gonna add one more node. So click on your mixer, right click, add node, add serial, boom, there it is. And we're gonna scroll down until we find Vignette. There it is. Now use this sparingly because that looks awful. So what you can do is, you know, bring up your size. I don't really mess around with anamorphism, but I do like to adjust my softness. We can see that's what it looks like. So let's bring it up a little bit more, maybe bring up our size. We could also use the advanced settings if we really wanted to change the shape of our vignette, and we can also change the transparency of it. But just a touch, man, just a touch. Now we're gonna add one more node. So right click, add node, add serial. And this time what we're gonna do is add a bit of blur. So you can choose just about any blur that you want. I'm gonna use box blur and probably bring down that strength just a little bit like so. We want it to be very subtle. And the next thing we're gonna do is find this window right here. This is where you can add different shapes for masking. And we're just gonna use a simple ellipse node. And we're gonna bring this out till the edges touch the edge of our video, like so. Now, if you have a keen eye and YouTube didn't kill the quality of this, you'll notice our blur is on the inside and not the outside right here. And that's a simple fix. All you have to do is check this box right here. Boom. Now it's flip-flopped and it's just the slightest of blur around the edges. What we could do maybe is bring up that softness even more. And I like doing this because it gives your videos a more dreamy look. But like always, let's scrub through a little bit, make sure this is exactly what we want. And it's looking good, dude. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, this is great, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more clips to add this color grade to. Do you have to go to each one and add this node tree setup by hand? And the answer to that is absolutely not. That would be awful. And it's super easy to do. So on this clip, we have it selected. We're going to go to the last clip and we're going to shift left click. Now it's highlighted all 3 of these clips. And this is the clip that we have color grading to. So all we have to do is middle mouse button, click it. And there you go. Now you have this entire node tree setup copied to your other clips. Look at that. Let's just watch this real quick. Make sure everything looks right. Looking good so far. Yeah, baby. Now, this clip right here, I love it. The issue I have with it is that, you know, the color grading doesn't quite match. And I could go through and try and match it. However, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is add another node. This red color, I love it. So we're going to select it. Now we should only have those eyes. There we go. We can also bring up that denoise a little bit too, like I showed you earlier. And we're going to add a node in parallel. So this node right here, the one below it, we're going to bring our saturation all the way down. And this one, we're going to bring it all the way up. And what we should have is just red eyes.
All right, here's the before and after. I really hope this video helped, and if it did, make sure you hit that like button so I can know. And also, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing, man?